Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. EU slaps Russia with 18th wave of sanctions, tightens oil price cap. Moscow warns of backlash. Good trouble lives on. Protests erupt across several United States cities against Trump's policies on mass deportations and social welfare cuts. US designates the Resistance Front, or TRF, global terrorist organization. Dr. S. Jaishankar calls it strong affirmation of India-US counter-terrorism cooperation. And India's first indigenously designed and built diving support vessel, INS Nistar, commissioned into the Indian Navy. India on Friday welcomed the US government's decision to designate the Resistance Front, TRF, as a foreign terrorist organization and as a specially designated global terrorist outfit, noting it as a step that aligns with global efforts to combat terrorism, indicating India's international campaign to further action against terror outfits based on Pakistani soil. The Ministry of External Affairs said that India's cooperation with international partners will continue to ensure that terrorist organizations and their proxies are held accountable. A report.
India hailed the United States' decision to designate the Resistance Front, or TRF, as a foreign terrorist organization and specially designated global terrorist. The TRF, a proxy of the Pakistan-based terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba, or LET, has been involved in numerous terror-related activities, including the heinous attack on civilians in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the decision enforces President Donald Trump's call for justice for the Pahalgam attack. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar appreciated the American decision. He added that this affirms India-US counterterrorism cooperation. Appreciating the decision, the Ministry of External Affairs said, India has consistently emphasized the need for global cooperation in the fight against terrorism and the dismantling of terror infrastructure. The designation of TRF is timely and important step reflecting the deep cooperation between India and the United States on counter-terrorism. India remains committed to a policy of zero tolerance towards terrorism. It will continue to work closely with its international partners to ensure that terrorist organizations and their proxies are held accountable. Now, here's a quick look at the US and UN actions against global terrorists in recent years. This year in June, the United Nations designated Ugandan national Abu Bakr Swaleh on its ISIL and Al-Qaeda sanctions list. In January 2023, United Nations blacklisted the deputy head of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Abdul Rahman Makki, as a global terrorist. In January 2023 again, the UN added ISIL Southeast Asia to its sanctions list. In February 2025, the US State Department designated Mexican drug cartels as well as MS-13 and the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua as foreign terrorist organizations. In March 2025, the US State Department designated the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization in Yemen. And in May 2025, the US labeled the Vive Ansnem and Grand Griffe gangs in Haiti as foreign terrorist organizations. India has consistently advocated for a universally agreed upon definition of terrorism within the United Nations framework and a global cooperation in the fight against terrorism. However, due to lack of consensus, concrete action on this front is yet to materialize. Raghav Kumar Jha's report, DD India.
The United States witnessed a powerful wave of resistance as the Good Trouble Lives On protests swept through over 1,600 locations nationwide. Named in honor of late civil rights icon John Lewis, the movement calls for citizens to rise against injustice, authoritarianism and policies they deem harmful to democracy. The protests come in the wake of recent unrest in Los Angeles, where National Guard troops were deployed amid clashes. Major protests speaking out against Trump's healthcare cuts, immigration policies and other decisions erupted in Atlanta, Georgia. St. Louis, Missouri, Oakland, California, and Annapolis in Maryland.
So there will be people within our lives that will try to suppress us and suppress our feelings and won't allow us to be who we are. It's always important to just express yourself freely and just be unapologetic about it.
Dallas is a beautiful place where many people of different faiths, different religions, different ethnicities, different cultures all live together in harmony. We know how that is done here, and we want to say to everyone that what is being done in the name of Americans right now is deeply unjust, and it's not who we are. It's not who we're supposed to be.
In a major fiscal overhauling in the United States, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives has passed President Donald Trump's $9 billion funding cut package. The decision was taken early Friday with a narrow 216 to 213 vote. The funding cut targets public media and foreign aid, though the Senate excluded about $400 million in funds for the global HIV/AIDS program from the cuts. Republicans defend the move, claiming that the foreign aid supported wasteful programs. The bill now heads to the White House for President Donald Trump's signature. US President Donald Trump attempted on Friday to control the storm triggered by a bombshell report on his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, ordering the Justice Department to seek the release of testimony from the prosecution of the late alleged sex trafficker to the famous. Trump also vowed to sue the Wall Street Journal and its owner, Rupert Murdoch, after the newspaper said that in 2003, the future president wrote a raunchy letter to Epstein, referring to their shared secret. As more.
The controversy over U.S. President Donald Trump's handling of records from the Jeffrey Epstein investigation entered a new dimension as his administration struggles to make good on its promises to release details on the case. Trump is facing a mixture of backlash and support over the handling of the Epstein files issue, including from his often loyal political base. Trump's name appeared on a 2003 personal note to Jeffrey Epstein, the Wall Street Journal reported. The Journal reported that the letter was one of several included in a leather-bound album meant to celebrate Epstein's 50th birthday, about 3 years before sex abuse allegations emerged against the financier. Trump quickly responded to the story published by the Wall Street Journal, saying that the letter was fake and that he would sue the newspaper and Rupert Murdoch, who controls its publisher, News Corp. The White House, too, responded to the report, saying President Trump won't recommend a special prosecutor for the Epstein case.
The president would not recommend a special prosecutor in the Epstein case. The president has been transparent. He has followed through on his promises to the American people, but he doesn't like to see Democrats in the mainstream media covering this like it's the biggest story that the American people care about.
The White House has been roiled by questions about disgraced financier and convicted sex offender Epstein, after the Justice Department this month concluded that there was no evidence to support the number of long-held conspiracy theories about his clients and 2019 death in prison. Attorney General Pam Bondi had pledged months earlier to reveal major revelations about Epstein, including a lot of names and a lot of flight logs. Some Trump supporters have demanded the release of more information on Epstein, causing a rare fracture within his base of support. But Trump and Bondi said on Thursday they would seek court permission to release grand jury testimony from the Epstein case. Allegations that Epstein had been abusing girls became public in 2006, after the birthday book was compiled, and he was arrested that year before accepting the plea deal. Epstein died in 2019 in jail after he was arrested a second time and charged with sex trafficking conspiracy. Bureau Report, DD India.
On to Europe now. Germany's Interior Minister Alexander Dobrindt gathered his counterparts from neighbouring France, Denmark, Poland, Austria and the Czech Republic on Friday to discuss stricter migration measures. The meeting on the picturesque Zugspitze, Germany's highest mountain, came 1 month after Chancellor Friedrich Merz said that a court ruling against the expulsion by German border police of the 3 Somali asylum seekers could restrict his government's migration crackdown, but would not stop it. It's been a week of extreme weather events across the world with devastating rains, floods, wildfires impacting millions. In Pakistan, the Punjab province witnessed at least 63 deaths and nearly 300 injuries in the past 24 hours alone due to the heavy rainfall. The nationwide toll since late June has climbed to 159, with forecasts warning of more rain in the coming days, particularly in the north. Meanwhile, South Korea remains on high alert as relentless rains entered the third day, killing 4 people and displacing over 5,000. The city of Seosan recorded 400 millimeters of rainfall, with continued warnings of landslides and flooding through Saturday. In Russia's eastern Siberia, emergency crews are battling severe floods where river levels have surged. Over 200 personnel and 60 vehicles are deployed for relief operations. In southern Europe, wildfires are raging. In Spain, firefighters are managing a blaze near Madrid, which has spread over 3,000 hectares, driven by strong winds from the town of Mentrida. And in France, wildfires spread across 250 hectares near Martigues, northwest of Marseille. Around 1,000 firefighters are on the ground and 150 residents have been evacuated, though officials say cooler weather is aiding efforts. The United Nations Refugee Agency, United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, has warned on Friday that up to 11.6 million refugees are at the risk of losing access to humanitarian assistance as a result of donor nation cuts in foreign funding. According to the report, this is almost 1/3 of the refugees regularly helped by the UN agency.
We're being hit. These women-led organizations are being hit. Governments that are hosting refugees are being hit. I said it at the beginning, that's a deadly cocktail. That is not good news for the world. Our funding requirements for 2025 are of $10.6 billion. At this point in the year, we're usually at about, and I've done these types of briefings before, we're usually at maybe about 50%, 48%. At this point, we are at 23% of the needs.
You're watching DD India News. Still to come on the show. UK youth celebrate after British government announces plans to grant 16 and 17-year-olds the right to vote in elections. Renewed clashes reported in parts of Syria's Sweda province. And Hungarian government says Polish government not interested in cooperation after Warsaw pulls its ambassador.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. Southern Syria is once again gripped by deadly unrest. Clashes between the Druze minority and forces loyal to the new Syrian government have escalated in Sweda. While Syrian troops have reportedly withdrawn after US-Arab mediation, fighting continues. Israel has allowed limited Syrian access to the region, and the US has urged all parties to seek a lasting ceasefire. DD India's Nistar Roy reports.
After months of simmering unrest and a fragile status quo, southern Syria is once again on the edge as violent clashes between the Druze minority and forces loyal to Syria's new Islamist-led government intensified in the province of Sweda. A plume of black smoke rose near buildings in Sweda's countryside on Friday after days of bloodshed in southern Syrian province's capital city.
Credible reports that our office has received indicate widespread violations and abuses, including summary executions and arbitrary killings, kidnappings, destruction of private property, and looting of homes in the southern city of Sueda. Among the reported perpetrators were members of the security forces and individuals affiliated with the interim authorities, as well as other armed elements from the area, including the Druze and Bedouin.
Meanwhile, Israel has agreed to allow limited access to Syrian forces into the Swida area of southern Syria for the next 2 days. This comes after the Syrian interim authorities said on Thursday that the government forces have withdrawn from the southern province of Swida, but clashes resumed late on Thursday between fighters from the Bedouin tribes and the Druze. The United States has condemned violence in Syria, calling on all parties to step back and engage in meaningful dialogue that leads to a lasting ceasefire.
Over the last 48 hours, the United States has led diplomatic efforts to promote real de-escalation and peace. As Secretary of State Marco Rubio noted yesterday, we have engaged all the parties involved in the clashes in Syria. We have agreed on specific steps that will bring this troubling and horrifying situation to an end tonight. This will require all parties to deliver on the commitments they have made.
Earlier, hundreds of Druze were seen crossing the border in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, despite efforts by the Israeli military to stop the stream of men heading by foot and by cars into Syria. Members of the Druze community appealed for the protection of their families in their neighboring country. Describing Syria's new rulers as barely disguised jihadists, Israel has vowed to shield the area's Druze community from attack, encouraged by calls from Israel's own Druze minority. Nistar Roy's report for DD India.
Now, in a landmark moment for UK's democratic system, the country announced plans to lower the voting age to 16 for the next general election. The proposed changes were designed to boost participation and trust in the electoral system. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that the move will give young people a chance to have a say on what their taxes are being used for. DD India's Aman Kumar Himanshu reports.
In a significant move, the United Kingdom decided to lower the voting age of its citizens who were eligible to vote only after the age of 18. The government said it would now allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote and called this a landmark moment for democracy. While some of its opponents decried the move as an attempt to till the electoral playing field. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said, and I quote, "I think if you pay in, you should have the opportunity to say what you want your money spent on, which way the government should go," unquote.
The strategy we have published today will set out how we will legislate and implement provisions to extend the voter franchise to 16 and 17-year-olds, increase participation in our elections, tackle the inconsistencies in voter ID rules, and protect our democracy by overhauling our political finance rules.
The government justified the move, stating that the proposed changes were designed to boost participation and trust in the electoral system. With voting percentage of 59.7, Britain suffered its lowest turnout during the last general election in 2024 since 2001. Britain has more than 1.6 million people aged between 16 and 17 in a total population of roughly 68 million. The plan has been described as the country's largest expansion of voting rights in decades. The last nationwide reduction in voting age to 18 from 21 came more than 50 years ago.
I think our opinion is strong enough to have the right to vote because, 2 years, it is a long time. 16 to 18 is quite like a maturity jump, but I think a lot of people, even from a very young age, have very strong opinions and they think their opinion should be heard. And I think even though we are young, it is important to have a say.
I feel like it's pretty irresponsible because I don't think people so young should be able to make decisions that can change a whole nation's way of living and so many different things. And yeah, I just don't really agree with it myself personally.
UK's decision to lower the age to cast ballots is not new. Several countries like Ecuador, Brazil, and Argentina permitted 16 and 17-year-olds to vote. However, it is not compulsory for them to cast their ballots, unlike those aged 18 and above. Austria was the first country in the European Union to lower its voting age to 16 in 2011. The legal voting age is 16 in several countries, including Nicaragua, Scotland and Isle of Man, Ethiopia, Ecuador, Cuba, and Brazil, whereas the minimum voting age in East Timor, Ethiopia, Indonesia, North Korea, and Sudan is 17. The government said that following the decision, administration will create more automated voter registration system. It will also expand the range of documents that voters can use as proof of identity. Bureau Report, DD India.
Ties between Poland and Hungary have soured after Budapest granted asylum to former Polish Deputy Justice Minister Marcin Romanowski, who is under investigation in Poland for alleged misuse of public funds. Romanowski denies the charges, which stem from his tenure under the previous Law and Justice government. In response, Poland recalled its ambassador from Hungary. The Hungarian foreign minister accused Warsaw of showing no interest in continued cooperation, signaling a deepening diplomatic rift between the two EU allies.
The current Polish government is not interested in this. It's clear. The current Polish government is a pro-war government. We are a pro-peace government. Regardless of this, we think that there could be good cooperation, because cooperation between the two countries does not only consist of what we think about the war, but the Polish government clearly cannot ignore this distinction.
More from Europe. Germany and the United Kingdom have signed a historic treaty, the first since the Second World War and since Brexit, where the UK pulled out of the EU. The treaty sets the stage for further cooperation on defence, immigration and economic issues. Joining me with more details is Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner, reporting from Berlin on the story. Emily, what's in this historic post-Brexit Germany-UK friendship treaty?
A lot of what's in the treaty aims to strengthen defense and security for both countries, as well as to ensure military readiness. So, for example, Germany and the UK are now vowing to work together to secure international orders for defense equipment that they co-produce. This includes a type of fighter jet, as well as an armored vehicle. A German defense tech company is going to open a factory in the UK where it's promising 100 jobs. And that's just one of 230 million euros worth of commercial investments in Germany Germany is promising the UK. There's also a plan for a business/government forum, which the countries hope will foster investment. The agreement also pledges a new direct rail connection between the UK and Germany. This is in hopes that it will help deepen economic and cultural ties. Now, for viewers that may have gotten excited already at that prospect, I should warn that the treaty doesn't lay down the tracks for a new line per se, but it does remove barriers that have made establishing this direct line difficult. Germany also says it's going to help the UK deter undocumented migrants from entering. One of the ways it intends to do this is to make it illegal in Germany to be involved in facilitating illegal immigration operations. There are also plans for increased cultural and social exchange. So, for example, schools might not have to get visas for student groups coming over for a trip. And frequent travelers between the two countries might be able to pass freely between the two countries as early as next month. So it encompasses defense, immigration, economic, and social exchange.
So, Emily, clearly UK is resetting ties with certain countries in the EU. What happens next?
Well, this treaty at the moment is more of an outline. It's an agreement to work together on the proposed projects. The real work starts now. Europe is keen to shore up its defense for the reasons I mentioned. So I imagine we'll see pledges related to European security start to take more concrete shape soon. And some of the other soft power initiatives might come a little bit later.
Thank you, Emily, for all those details. Emily Leshner reporting from DW Berlin. News from India now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited Bihar's Motihari district. He inaugurated and laid the foundation stone for multiple development projects worth over 7,200 crore rupees. These projects cater to rail, road, rural development, fisheries, electronics and information technology sectors. So the project incorporates new trains, doubling and electrification of rail lines, road expansion, software technology parks, housing assistance to thousands of beneficiaries and support to self-help groups, all aimed at building a developed India, Viksit Bharat. Viksit Bihar as part of Viksit Bharat. Prime Minister Modi also released 400 crore rupees to around 61,500 self-help groups in Bihar under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihoods Mission. With a special focus on women-led development, over 10 crore women have been connected to self-help groups. Prime Minister also handed over keys to some beneficiaries as a part of Griha Pravesh, a national housing scheme to 12,000 beneficiaries. In addition, Prime Minister Modi released over 160 crore rupees to 40,000 beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen, a rural residential scheme. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also visited Durgapur in West Bengal, where he laid the foundation stone, inaugurated and dedicated several key development projects across the oil and gas sector, power, road and rail sectors. Among major announcements, the Prime Minister launched the 1,950 crore rupees city gas distribution project for Bankura and Purulia districts under BPCL and dedicated the 132-kilometer Durgapur to Kolkata stretch of the Durgapur-Haldia natural gas pipeline. The Indian Prime Minister also dedicated pollution control upgrades worth over 1,457 crore rupees at Durgapur and Raghunathpur thermal power stations of Damodar Valley Corporation. In rail infrastructure, the doubling of 36-kilometer Purulia-Kotshila line costing over 390 crore rupees was also inaugurated. Additionally, 2 road overbridges built under the Setu Bharatam scheme were launched, valued at over 380 crore rupees. Further, Prime Minister Modi held a roadshow in Durgapur where thousands of enthusiastic supporters lined the streets, waving flags and chanting slogans. Prime Minister Modi received a rousing welcome as people gathered in large numbers to greet the Prime Minister, creating a festive vibe throughout the route.
₹5,400 करोड़ रुपए के प्रोजेक्ट का शिलान्यास और लोकार्पण हुआ है। ये सारी परियोजनाएं यहां की कनेक्टिविटी को सशक्त करेगी, यहां गैस बेस्ड ट्रांसपोर्ट, गैस बेस्ड इकोनॉमी को बल मिलेगा। आज की परियोजनाओं से इस स्टील सिटी की पहचान और मजबूत होगी। यानी परियोजनाएं मेक इन इंडिया, मेक फॉर द वर्ल्ड इस मंत्र के साथ पश्चिम बंगाल को आगे बढ़ने में मदद करेगी।
The Air Force School in Delhi celebrated 70th Raising Day on Friday. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar attended the event and shared key advice on the enduring value of school teaching. While addressing the gathering at his alma mater, he highlighted the importance of teamwork, discipline and preparation instilled during one's time spent in school, which he credited for his success in diplomacy.
We have Operation Ganga, where we went into Ukraine. Perhaps that's the most famous one, but whether it was Afghanistan, whether it was Nepal, whether it was what we did in Yemen. I mentioned this to you because there was a second, I would say, set of qualities one learnt in school, which is teamwork. The ability to get along with other people, the ability to spot, in your own peer group and with others, you spot people's strengths and then try to meld it into something which is to a collective benefit.
Still to come on DD India Newshour. A discussion with our expert on India's self-reliance in defence technology. Indian Institute of Creative Technology IICT campus inaugurated in Mumbai to power India's creative tech economy.
This week, we meet people who are confronting complex environmental challenges. They are trying to find smart and steady ways to restore balance.
One of the projects for BNHS is to conservation breeding of falcons and goshawk, and then release that population after breeding, release that population back in the urban atmosphere like Mumbai.
We're trying to widen and deepen the rivers to increase water flow capacity. But residents must help too, by preventing the accumulation of garbage, which is a problem across Jakarta.
In this NFT channel, we use net cups with cocoa peats on it. This helps to penetrate the roots. There will be nutritious water flowing through the channel that supplies essential nutrients for the plant, and the remaining nutritious water gets channeled back to the water tank.
Welcome back. You're watching the India Newshour. I am Tanvi Taneja. India continues to focus on indigenization in the defense sector, not only to secure its borders, but also to position itself as a key player in the international defense ecosystem. On Friday, INS Nistar, the first indigenously designed diving support vessel, was commissioned into the Indian Navy. Also, India showcased ballistic missiles Prithvi 2 and Agni 1 in its nuclear arsenal on Thursday. A day earlier, India indigenously developed Akash Prime missile, an upgrade to the world's envy, Akash air defense systems. A report. Nistar in Sanskrit means liberation, rescue or salvation. In a landmark achievement under India's push for Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant India, and reducing dependence on foreign suppliers, the Indian Navy on Friday commissioned its first indigenously designed and built diving support vessel, INS Nistar, at Visakhapatnam. Equipped with cutting-edge deep-sea diving systems, INS Nistar strengthens India's operational capability and stands ready to rescue personnel from distressed submarines, a capability with select navies across the globe. With a joint effort of 120 micro, small and medium enterprises and incorporating over 80% indigenous content, Nistar is a testament to India's ability to build complex ships at par with international standards. Meanwhile, in what constitutes as some strategic deterrence messaging to the world, especially after Operation Sindoor, India on Thursday successfully test-fired Prithvi 2nd and Agni 1st ballistic missiles from Odisha range. The Prithvi 2 missile has a range of around 350 kilometers and it is capable of carrying both conventional and nuclear warheads of up to 500 kgs. The Agni 1 missile has a range of 700 to 900 kilometers and it can carry a payload of 1000 kgs. On July 16th, India achieved another significant milestone by successfully destroying 2 aerial high-speed targets at high altitude in Ladakh using surface-to-air missile Akash Prime. Akash Prime is the upgraded variant of the Akash weapon system for the Indian Army. The weapon system is customized to operate at altitudes above 4,500 meters and has the latest upgrade. Not just this, India's other notable indigenous defense projects include the Fire and Forget BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. It's a joint venture with Russia and can be launched from air, land, sea and submarine. It has a range of 290 to 800 kilometers. It is over 70% indigenously built, with DRDO developing critical components like its seekers and propulsion systems. Next on the list is Tejas. Tejas LCA is a fully indigenous multi-role fighter developed by HAL, Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, with over 60% local content. Variants like Tejas Make-1A and Make-2 incorporate indigenous ISA radars and avionics. Arihant-class submarines. They are India's first indigenously nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines developed by DRDO and BARC. Unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, popularly known as drones. These are indigenously built for surveillance and combat roles. These include Tapas BH-201 and Rustam. India's Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, on Wednesday said drones can shift tactical balance disproportionately and self-reliance for India.
Operation Sindoor has showed us as to why indigenously developed counter-US systems and counter-US systems built for our terrain and our needs are crucial. We cannot rely on imported niche technology that are crucial for our offensive and defensive missions. We must invent and build and safeguard ourselves.
Advances in defence technology can have positive spin-off effects on other industries, contributing to overall technological progress. And India wants just that, from Make in India to Make for the World, aiming to become a global hub for defence manufacturing and exports. Bureau Report, DD India. And to discuss Atmanirbharta in India's defence sector, I am now joined by former Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha. Mr. Sinha is also Chairman, India Foundation. Welcome, sir, to DD India Newshour. To begin with, why is indigenization of weaponry and defence systems important for India, and why, what has been the catalyst for initiating this process of indigenization?
Well, thank you for getting me on your program, Tanviji. You cannot become a big power, important power, by importing weapon systems. That is number one. So the process of indigenization has started quite early. We just had Op Sindoor, as you know. So a lot of our projects were just on, shall I say, on a short finals, about to get sort of operational. And the experience of Op Sindoor has also given a little impetus to all these services as to where all do we think we can do better. We did well, but we should be able to do better. What is it that could not be intercepted by the adversary? In this case, Pakistan. So, idea being that, okay, let us increase the ranges of these weapon systems what we have, or the ones which we already have, let us do a trial to see that it is working. As far as the diving support vessel Nistar is concerned, it has been long been in offing.
Yes.
Because we did not have a diving support vessel for a long time, meaning that our divers could go down up to certain height because they have to do a saturation diving which is beyond 75 meters. And for that they go in a little cubicle. And you can't just go like that because the pressures are so different, they have to get used to that pressure inside the cubicle. And we have to have a support ship if you have to rescue, submariners in case they get trapped. So this can, take on deep sea diving right up to 300 meters it can support. So these are the impetus for the 3-4 things that you mentioned. And maybe later on, if you ask me some more, maybe I'll be able to.
Okay.
It's a long list.
Yeah. So which are the specific weapons and defense systems of the three forces in which indigenization is especially important?
Well, I would put at number one is the fighter aircraft, really. We are making Tejas, but as you know, the engine is not ours. We don't make engines. And therefore, we will be dependent. Now, if you are dependent on any other country, they can, switch off the tap at any time. If they don't give you engines, you are stuck. Or if they don't give you spare parts, because these are the ones which consume fair amount of, friction, and therefore, the time-based sort of changes of some of the components. So, and therefore it is necessary to have it. We have already started. There is a sort of joint venture already on between France and India.
You mean for the Kaveri engine?
In fact, it's independent. It's a Saffron engine for the AMCA aircraft.
Okay.
So hopefully that will happen. But till then, we will have to be dependent, and that's not a very good news. And the Air Force, as you know, has already been wanting more aircraft. They don't have enough squadrons, and therefore some purchases will have to be done before we reach that level where we can make our own. So these are the most important, I would say.
Okay.
Otherwise, all services they want to do better. So even Army.
Okay, where are we as of this moment as regards indigenization in Army, Navy and Air Force? And also in which wing of the armed forces has indigenization proceeded the quickest? You also have to tell me why it has proceeded the quickest.
Well, then let me take the last question first.
Okay.
The Navy, not because I am a naval officer,
okay.
The Navy actually is a lead as far as indigenization is concerned.
Okay.
Why it is so? Long back in the 60s, the big admirals, they realized that our area of responsibility is very big in Indian Ocean, and the government will not be able to support or buy so many ships and so many submarines which are required to be imported. It's really expensive. So they decided that we will start making our ships here only, and that was, and the government agreed at that point in time. And therefore, you have got the shipyards which are the government PSU, like MDL in Mumbai, then you have GSL in Goa, then you have GRAC in in Kolkata, and now you also have the Hindustan Shipyard Limited, which was earlier with Shipping Ministry, but now it is with the government of Ministry of Defence. So these are the ones. The second point is that they were led by the naval officers. A senior naval officer, maybe of the rank of Vice Admiral or Rear Admiral, who understands the Navy's being, and they are the ones who were appointed. They were appointed through the PSCB. But as a serving officer, when you join, one doesn't have, they just have to be nominated, because those shipyards also belong to the Navy, to the Defence Ministry. So that is why Navy has been agree here, quite quick, very fast. All the ships now, the last fully foreign ship has just come recently. But that is the last one, because it was an order of very long time. While I was in service, this was already on order. So they have arrived now. And Army, of course, Army has been fairly okay, pretty close. And Air Force has been, I told you why they are staggering, because aerospace, mainly the engine, weapon systems, everything, we were not making anything worth. But now we have caught on, as you know, the transport aircraft C295, which is in the private sector. They are in the private sector already. So this private sector is making, Tatas have got with the Airbus industry, and it is being made in Gujarat, and I think the first one should be rolling out any time. So because that's not a fully weaponized, but the Tejas has got the Indian weapon systems as well. It got the third point is the Army's missiles. Army, as you know, the BrahMos was initially designed for the Navy, fired from the ship, and thereafter it was modified to be carried on the Su-30 aircraft and also to be used by the Army. So you saw the BrahMos performance in
Operations
Operations.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so we are there, we are moving. All the big problem, Tanviji, is that you cannot throw these things out in a day. Once you have them, they remain, their life is 30-40 years. But in 30-40 years, the technology is now running at a high speed. For us to catch up, we are planning, we are sort of intending to have 30% of legacy, 40% of current technology, and 30% of future technology.
Wow.
So this is how they're working now, and hopefully they
and
will.
in fact, that is what Chief of Defence Staff Anil Chauhan also said on Wednesday, that we have to fight today's war with tomorrow's weapons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm just coming from tomorrow's tech war. I'm coming from Jaipur. In fact, I was en route home.
Okay.
And this is exactly what was discussed for 2-3 days.
Okay.
So it's quite important for us, because in Op Sindoor, the Chinese weapons, the Chinese satellite, the Chinese missiles have been used by Pakistan with full connivance of China.
Okay.
And therefore, to imagine that you are fighting Pakistan is really misplaced. You are actually fighting with Chinese systems. And therefore, as you know, China is actually advancing to replace the US from #1 position in the world. And therefore, it's not that they will not use, they will use it. They will use it against you through Pakistan. It's like a trial. So Pakistan is doing a trial for them, really.
Okay. Finally, sir, where do you see the role of the private sector in indigenization of the defence equipment and weaponry?
Quite a lot, because the government cannot spend so much of money, because they have so many other things to do. Developmental work, farmers issue, education, healthcare, etc., etc. But here, the private sector has already jumped in. As I mentioned, the transport aircraft is being made, and now for the AMCA, for the aircraft of future, the government has invited even the private sector to participate, because there is no harm. Engine, in any case, you have to import, no matter who makes it. Even the government is making the Tejas engines are imported. Now the weapon systems, we are started making almost all systems ourselves. We have surface-to-air missiles, which is the BrahMos.
BrahMos.
Air-to-air missile, as you see, just the other day, Astra has been fired, the long range, beyond visual range, and I suppose that it should be 100 kilometers plus.
Okay.
So you got a absolutely top of the line, and the rockets, the bombs, they're all manufactured here. So I think we are just in the right time. The integration will be done by the PSU. Because that has got the technicalities of, shall I say, electronics, etc., how it is connected, where it is connected. So that should remain in government's domain. And therefore, integration can be done by the PSU, whereas the rest of it can be made by the private sector. And I think they have jumped in quite well. Army, they are making so many things. Navy, I mean, the ships are built, 100% ships are now aircraft carrier. But the engines we don't make. That's the problem, we have to buy engines. Okay. However, if you have a diesel engine, you know, these anti-submarine vessels which have come, they've got Indian diesel engines. We make diesel engines are quite good, but not the gas turbine engines. So that is where the problem is.
Okay, sir. Really appreciate your time for being with us and explaining to us in great detail where we stand in indigenization of the different defense forces of the country. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for getting me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh congratulated Indian Navy and Hindustan Shipyard Limited for the commissioning of INS Nistar. Rajnath Singh wrote on X, and I quote him here, "Congratulations to the Indian Navy and Hindustan Shipyard Limited for the commissioning of INS Nistar, the indigenously developed and designed constructed diving support vessel DSV. This induction of the DSV, installed with state-of-the-art equipment to undertake saturation, diving and salvage operations, as well as other features, serve as the mothership for Deep Submergence Rescue Vessel DSRV for rescue and evacuation of personnel from a submarine in distress. This is another milestone in India's journey towards ensuring maritime security and safety in the Indian Ocean region through Atmanirbharta." The European Union on Friday approved a new round of sanctions against Russia, featuring a reduced oil price cap, a ban on transactions involving the Nord Stream gas pipelines, and fresh measures targeting shadow fleet vessels, helping Moscow bypass these restrictions. The 18th round of economic punishment has been approved after Slovakia dropped a weeks-long block following talks with Brussels over broader plans to gradually cut down on Russian gas imports. Now, the European Union says the new measures are aimed at tightening enforcement, closing loopholes, and further weakening Russia's ability to sustain its war efforts against Ukraine. Now, in response to media queries regarding recent EU sanctions, India's Ministry of External Affairs said that India does not subscribe to any unilateral sanction measures. The Ministry of External Affairs said that India is a responsible actor and remains fully committed to legal obligations. The Government of India considers the provision of energy security a responsibility of paramount importance to meet the basic needs of citizens. India would stress that there should be no double standards, especially when it comes to energy trade. South African envoy to India, Professor Anil Suklal, on Friday said that tariffs are ruining economies of many nations and that countries need to come together to find solutions to the problems that face the world today. He was speaking in the national capital on the occasion of birth anniversary of Nelson Mandela.
We live in a world today that's so divided, a world of tariffs that has run riot with all of our economies, a world where the North and South seem to get more and more divided into camps. And as I said, conflicts that take place where thousands of lives, hundreds of lives are lost, where terrorism has become the norm of the day, where fellow human beings can come and terrorize innocent families and take their lives away just like that. We need to fight this. We need to uphold the very values and principles that Mandela and Gandhi stood for.
After the grand success of the maiden edition of World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit, or WAVES, in Mumbai, India unveiled the outcome report of the summit on Friday. The Union Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Ashwini Vaishnav, released the report saying the summit witnessed an overwhelming response from exhibitors, industry leaders, startups, policymakers, academia and the people at large. The summit emerged as a key convergence point for the media and entertainment ecosystem, drawing participation from every segment of the industry. The minister also inaugurated new campus of the Indian Institute of Creative Technologies. IICT is envisioned as a world-class talent hub for India's creative economy. The institute is launching 18 specialized courses spanning gaming, post-production, animation, comics and XR, all designed in close collaboration with industry leaders.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी का एक संकल्प है कि आईआईटी और आईआईएम के सिस्टम की तर्ज पर क्रिएटिव टेक्नोलॉजीज का एक नया इंस्टीट्यूशंस की सीरीज बने, आईआईसीटी, इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ क्रिएटिव टेक्नोलॉजीज। टेक्नोलॉजी आज की क्रिएटिव वर्ल्ड में जिस तरह से एक इंटीग्रल पार्ट बन चुकी है, उसमें बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हमारे क्रिएटिव इकोनॉमी में काम करने वाले जितने भी लोग हैं और जो इससे जुड़ना चाहते हैं, उन सबको हम नए स्किल्स दें, टेक्नोलॉजीज़ में ट्रेनिंग दें, नए टूल्स दें और दुनिया में जो बेस्ट हो रहा है उसको हम अपने यहाँ पर भारत में लेके आए और यहाँ से नए इंक्यूबेशन, नए आइडियाज़, नई टेक्नोलॉजीज़ भी भारत से बने। उसी भावना के साथ, उसी उद्देश्य के साथ आईआईसीटी की कल्पना की गई।
The minister also inaugurated the Bharat Pavilion at Gulshan Mahal in National Film Development Corporation of India NFDC campus. And next we take a look at other stories making news across the world. Taiwan's trade negotiators are working round the clock to strike a tariff deal with the United States. The island's vice president said on Friday, 2 weeks before Washington's deadline. US President Donald Trump has given America's trade partners until August 1st to reach an agreement with the United States or be hit with his earlier threatened levies. Brazil's federal police raided the home of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro in Brasilia on Friday. Authorities ordered him to wear an ankle monitor amid concerns that he may flee the country. Brazil's Supreme Court issued search warrants and banned him from contacting foreign officials for allegedly courting the interference of US President Donald Trump. A charter plane took off for Afghanistan after Berlin said that it has deported 81 Afghan men convicted of crimes in Germany. It is the second such operation since the Taliban's return to power after the previous government of Social Democrat Chancellor Olaf Scholz expelled a group of 28 Afghans in August 2024. You're watching DD India Newshour. Time now for some sporting action. IM Game Sports Conclave 2025 took place in New Delhi on Friday, bringing together key voices from the world of sports, business and technology. The conclave hosted insightful sessions on sports financing, digital fan engagement, esports, women-led ventures and regional content creation. Each session focused on strengthening the overall sporting ecosystem in the country. A major theme was improving the financial structure of Indian sports, from funding grassroots programs to ensuring job security and long-term support for athletes. Speaking at the event, Minister of State for Corporate Affairs, Harsh Malhotra, said that India's new sports policy will be a game changer.
गली में, गांव में क्रिकेट या कोई और गेम, हॉकी या फुटबॉल खेलने वाला बच्चा है, कबड्डी खेलने वाला बच्चा है, उस बच्चे को निकालकर उसको प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग, उसका प्रॉपर न्यूट्रिशन, उसके लिए स्पोर्ट्स की फैसिलिटी होना, उसकी हेल्थ की चिंता करना, उसको अगर टैलेंट है तो उसको आगे बढ़ा करके आज 13-14 साल का बच्चा इंटरनेशनल इवेंट खेल सकता है। तो उसके लिए एक बड़ा प्लेटफॉर्म मोदी जी के मार्गदर्शन में हमारे देश में नेशनल स्पोर्ट्स पॉलिसी 2025 जो अभी 1 जुलाई को आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने उसकी अनुमति कैबिनेट ने दी है, तो मैं समझता हूं कि ये बड़ा गेम चेंजर होगा.
Now, India and England are playing a 5-match test series, with England currently leading 2-1. The 4th test of the series will be played at Manchester. Speaking exclusively to DD India's Narayan Singh, former India cricketer Jatin Paranjape said that the young Indian team has the potential to make a strong comeback.
The Anderson-Tendulkar series is underway right now, and currently England is leading the series 2-1. And to talk more on this, I am joined by former India cricketer Jatin Paranjape. So a very warm welcome. The way series went, the score would have been actually 3-0 in favour of India, but somehow it is 2-1. So what really went wrong for India?
I thought India have been a little careless in this series. You know, at points in all the 3 test matches, I mean, we won 1, but the remaining 2 test matches, they were at certain situations, they were dictating the game. That is the time when you're dictating the game, you've got to put the opposition out of the game completely. They've allowed England to come back more than once. The Rishabh Pant run out, I thought, was very, very careless, and that was what changed the entire fortune of the game. If he and Rahul had added 60 or 70 more, India would have had a comfortable lead, and if they had had a lead, they would not have lost the test match. So I think India need to be careful. They need to balance that natural aggression which they have in their DNA with some care. So I think care is the operative word for them for the next 2 test matches. I think we will win both the test matches and we'll come back 3-2 winners.
So you mentioned about the carelessness. If you're talking about the 3rd test match at Lord's, India gave 63 extra runs in comparison to England's 33. Yeah. So do you think that England need to be more disciplined to be...
And that's what I mean. They need to run a tighter ship. From an execution perspective, and they need to be mindful of every run over the next couple of test matches. They will be. It's a team which has a strong support unit as well. So I'm sure whatever I'm speaking about would have been spoken in the dressing rooms as well ahead of the 4th test match. So I think you will see a tighter Indian team in the 4th test match.
Talking about Shubman Gill, the way started scoring a double century and a 150+ score. But in the 3rd test match, we saw that he looked a bit, we can say that aggressive, but that is not his natural trait. He was going to the umpire for again for the ball, that the ball is getting loose. And also we saw that he's also taking a dig at the England. So do you think that Shubman Gill just maintained his originality to be at the par?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and you need to maintain your original kind of character, demeanor, behavior, mindset. I think India have kind of overdone it a little bit about going to the umpire for the ball all the time. For me, it's not in good taste. I think they need to tone it down a little bit and focus on the game. And I'm sure all these things would be discussed like we are discussing it here.
We are hoping that the way things happen, India will definitely bounce back in the series and win a series in England after 2007. With camera person Piyush, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
So that's all for this edition of DD India Newshour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.